Yeah. Pretty good. So through the middle, you get heavy on that one, yeah? Those little shifts. So there's two directions. Either we get too heavy or we get too light. And what we're really working on there is trying to get your rhythmoids to work with more precision. Because in all honesty, you can practice all the different parts of technique, but if we've got clumsy closure, it's never going to work as we would like. And singers who have accurate closure from the get-go, many do, some don't, they can learn the fundamentals real quick. So it's a challenge because in the end, release and closure, those two things really set the ceiling or the bar in terms of how good we're going to sound and where we're going to get to. If they're weak, if the skills aren't strong enough, the ceiling's lower for us. And the stronger they are, the easier it is to extend us and into more professional sounds more quickly. So when we feel that press towards heavy or disconnection, the goal is what you're finding there. Like, did you feel on some of those how we kind of had this where it wasn't particularly heavy, but it wasn't the same as what we had at the start when we kind of had that feeling. You know what I mean? It was like real clunky earlier. Whereas you kind of had this It's just that feeling we're looking for. We're looking to naturalize and normalize that feeling of kind of connecting some and stretching the vocal cords through there and getting used to it. It's just a challenge for you right now because you're so used to holding on heavy or letting go completely. I was exactly the same with my closure, but I just worked on it in the way we're working on it here. So there's two angles you can come at the fundamentals. Sometimes you can focus a lot on the vowel, trying to get, rather than woo, 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 yeah, trying to get that nice narrow feeling through the bridge. And the other thing is trying to get the closure under control, trying to put the attack on the note is even through there as well. And you've got to chop and change. So sometimes you might spend a couple of months on closure, and then you'll spend a couple of months on release. Typically for me now, I will end up focusing on closure for ages or release for ages. And then I'll be like, the other thing is the problem. And then I'll work on the other thing for a few months, and whichever it is. And those two things always get me up to the next notch. The main thing for you though is the two things combined. So, which is very normal. Typically as you compress, or, we had kind of this feeling of, I was going woo, 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 and we kind of had woo, 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 where we kind of had this larynx coming up a little bit at the top. So the larynx wants to come up a little bit, and the closures needs more work. So you can spend your practice time saying, okay, I'm going to not worry about closure for the start. I'm just going to go woo, 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 real heady on it, like a woo vowel, woo, 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 and work at some scales, keeping very little closure, but just keeping the vowel as balanced and even as you can through the bridge. And then, like we're doing there, transition into some closure. Start building some closure into that position of release that you're establishing. Each time we build the voice, we want to be really keeping the larynx stable by focusing on the vowel, and then adding connection, adding closure from that free position. And you can focus on one or the other, but in the end, both of them are going to count in terms of how balanced we feel. If the larynx is coming up, the closure is harder to manage. If the closure's too heavy or too light and it's a little bit clumsy there, then we're going to clunk over more, and the stability of the larynx is harder to manage. So they kind of feed into each other. When one's good, the other's easy. When one's hard or not working well, the other becomes hard as well. So we're always trying to find how much balance and stability can we get on that vowel, and how much evenness can we get in the closure, because those two things are going to give us balance through that bridge.